So we got one prediction right tonight. My Chiguev versus Lucas Brown prediction went south, as you guys know. Congrats to Lucas Brown again. But yeah, we got prediction right tonight, which was Bradley Skeete to win this fight by points. I was fairly bullish with that prediction. I really thought Skeete was a different level of boxer than Sam Egginton. I discussed it with Jet on our collaboration video that we did earlier this week. And for me, the thing with Sam Egginton is I've seen a few of his fights and I've always just thought he was unexceptional. You know, he didn't have an exceptional defence. He didn't have exceptional boxing capability. You know, he didn't have truly exceptional power. I just felt that against a guy like Bradley Skeete, who was a lot more of an educated boxer, a very sort of tricky, slippery fighter, that you'd need someone a bit more advanced, a bit more either experienced or skilled or powerful to beat Bradley Skeete. I mean, Bradley Skeete is not unbeatable, you know, not by any stretch, but I just feel that in order to beat Bradley Skeete, you've got to bring something to the table. You know, you can bring real big punching power, for example, or you can bring excellent defence and, you know, try and jab it out with him like Frankie Gavin did in their fight, even though that was a close fight. But for me, Bradley Skeete pretty much put on a boxing clinic tonight. He was real smart, especially in the mid-rounds of this fight. And I often found myself favouring Skeete's work. A few of the rounds, especially the early rounds, were very tight, close, competitive rounds. It wasn't a lot of like big punches landed, but for me, I just found myself siding with Bradley Skeete time and time again in this fight. I just felt he was a bit smarter. His jab was on point from the beginning. He established the jab from round one, got it pumping out back and forth, you know, landing with accuracy and scoring. I thought his movement was exceptional. His movement combined with his jab is what makes him such a good boxer. And I just felt that Sam Egginton really had problems finding his range in this fight. You know, it was the small, subtle things that Bradley Skeete was doing. The little upper body movement, like, you know, when he's turning like this. The little pivots, the subtle adjustments, the way he was ducking and getting low and bending at the waist and leaning away. And, you know, he was really boxing very smoothly. And he showed a lot of class in there. And I thought Sam Egginton just couldn't quite time him, couldn't quite find his range, and as a result became a little bit inaccurate and was able to get picked off by the superior technician and the more skilled, slick, experienced operator in Bradley Skeete. You know, I personally, you know, I'm not going to pretend I sat down and scored it with a fine tooth comb. For me, my gut instinct is that 9 rounds to 3 was a fair representation of the fight. I certainly could have accepted 8 rounds to 4, but yeah, 9 rounds to 3 I think is where I'd go with this one. And I'm pleased for Bradley Skeete. You know, I've met Bradley Skeete, real nice guy, one of the gentlemen of the sport, and he's a guy who, you know, he's taken a lot of stick in the past. He's worked hard. He had a very close loss to Frankie Gavin that would have been very hard for him to take. You know, he lost that fight by a whisker. A lot of people felt he won. Frankie Gavin went on to headline a pay-per-view for a world title, whereas Bradley Skeete became a forgotten man in the division. But, you know, this raises his profile. This puts him, you know, back out there, back in the scene. And hopefully, you know, having sent him over to an Eddie Hearn, so, you know, now Frank Warren's going to have seen the capability of Bradley Skeete and is going to bring in some big name opponents for him. Because, you know, Bradley Skeete, to me, should be looking at fighting the Leonard Bundus of this world and, you know, that kind of guy. I appreciate it's hard to get these guys to come over and you need to pay them decent money, but for me, Bradley Skeete's got the potential to beat guys like Leonard Bundu. He's got the potential to win European titles. And, you know, who knows what, you know, Bradley Skeete, for me, he's not, he doesn't carry a ridiculous amount of power. He can be a bit tentative when the going gets tough. But, you know, when he's on song like he was tonight, he's a very skilled boxer and a real capable technician. You know, Sam Egginton, he's only 22. He's got a lot to work on for me. You know, he's got very limited head movement. which I think is going to be a consistent issue. And I just think for a guy who's so big at the weight, he really needs to work on a jab and using that jab and using it well. I'm not just talking about throwing a jab, I'm talking about doubling it up. I'm talking about trying to change levels with a jab. I'm talking about making the jab a real weapon. You know, for me, if you're going to be that big at the weight, you need to have a sort of class jab if you're going to go anywhere. And he just came up slightly short in comparison to Skeete tonight. Actually, no, he came up quite short in comparison to Skeete tonight in that department. So I think that's something he's got to work on. He's got to look at the head movement. He is very big at the weight, Sam Egginton. You know, Skeete is a real big guy for welterweight, but I thought Egginton looked, you know, quite a bit bigger than Skeete in there. Certainly as tall, if not an inch taller, but also just broader, you know, slightly more powerfully built, just a bigger man in general. So I think it's fair to say that Sam Egginton is real big at 147. You know, I know he's only 22 recently. Maybe he'll find it hard to stay at 147 as he gets a bit older and, you know, starts to become heavier naturally. But yeah, a lot to work on for Sam Egginton. I just don't feel he's necessarily got the boxing skill to mix it at this level, at this stage. But, you know, he's obviously got a big support. The Hearns seem to like him. Perhaps he can come again. Perhaps he can come again. And, you know, hopefully after a few comeback fights, he can step up to this level again. You know, a lot of people giving the Sky commentary stick again. You know, people were saying that they were giving Sam Egginton too much praise, you know, making it out to be a lot closer than it was. And I certainly think that there was some argument they were doing that. I have to give credit to Paul Smith. I thought Paul Smith was quite on song tonight. They cut towards him at the end of the fight and they said, "Paul, who's your money on?" He said, "Bradley Skeete." You know, I've written down what he said. He was like, "Bradley Skeete's dominating by some way. Sam Egginton doesn't really appear to have any sort of plan. Sam Egginton, you know, really isn't cutting down the ring here whatsoever." And I think that was a very fair point from Paul Smith. Yeah, Egginton was getting his ears boxed off, but the sign of a good boxer, the sign of someone who's going to be successful in the sport, is someone who can really make an adjustment when that is the case. And I saw Sam Egginton getting outboxed round after round after round, and there were literally no adjustments. There was no change of game plan. His corner kept trying to tell him to turn it into a war, but he wasn't doing that. You know, he was standing there, he was getting picked off, and I think Paul Smith hit the nail on the head there. There was no plan, there was no plan B. Once plan A wasn't working, he was out of his depth, and he couldn't cut down the ring. He really struggled with the range, and that was due to the subtleties of Skeete, the feinting, the angles, the getting low, the dipping, the movement. It just kept Egginton from setting his feet, and yeah, really found him out, I guess, in that sense. I was watching a pre-fight interview with Egginton, I think it was on IFL TV, and he said something like, you know, Skeete can box a bit, Skeete can jab a bit, but at some point I'm going to be able to drag him into a wall. And I remember watching it at the time and thinking, I'm not so sure about that, Sam, because, you know, there's one thing Skeete can do, it's box behind the jab and keep his composure and avoid getting sucked into a wall. And sure enough, he completely avoided it tonight as well. So, yeah, I just think it was a flawed game plan. I don't think it was a plan B. I think tactically, he fought a wrong fight. He tried to box long with a far superior boxer, jabber and mover, and he got found out. Yeah, he can come again, but credit goes to Bradley Skeete, a high-level performance. Skeete's one for the hardcores. You know, he's not someone who's going to go on a huge following within the casual market, but he's a very likeable guy. He's very skilled, and you know, hopefully he can go on to bigger and better things. I like Skeete Bundu. I think that'd be an excellent fight if he can get that, or a fight of that nature and magnitude, certainly. Just briefly, I won't do individual videos. The Yafai brothers, I was impressed with Gamal Yafai tonight. Some of the punches he was landing were really excellent. You know, the kid he was in was obviously very tough. Yafai may not be the biggest puncher in the world, but he was taking punch after punch after punch, and Yafai was really snappy, landing some good work, and he looked to have some real upside tonight, Gamal Yafai. As for Yafai, didn't really learn too much from that fight. It was over before it begun. Yeah, maybe the opponent got caught cold, but it was a fantastic body shot that ended it. And yeah, the Yafai brothers, if I'm completely brutally honest, they haven't really caught my interest yet. I wonder, with Egginton taking a big loss, the future of Eddie Hearn going to Birmingham. I mean, it's going to be hard to headline. Let's not forget he originally went to Birmingham with Macklin, who took a big loss. You know, I don't really see him headlining with Sam Egginton next time after that. Maybe he could headline with Yafai if Cal gets a world title shot, but I'm just not sure that the Yafai brothers are big enough fan favourites to be able to bring over world champions. And are they going to sell enough tickets and generate enough interest to justify that investment? I don't know. But they're both good fighters. They're both pretty tidy, and yeah, put punches together pretty well. Both of them have a big upside. I must say, Gamaliel fight tonight did impress me with his performance. You know, he looked snappy in there, definitely. Let me know your thoughts on this card. How did you see it going? How did you score the main event? I haven't forgotten the book giveaway competition. To be honest, I'm too tired to look over it right now, but I'll work out who the winner is tomorrow and announce that on the channel. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up. Please do press the subscribe. Many thanks for watching.